Hey, good morning, guys. We're going to pick up in Matthew 8. We finished up chapter 7 last week, so we're going to be in Matthew 8. We're going to be reading 5 through 13, and then in Luke 7, the same story, verses 1 through 10. Before we get started real quick, I thought I would share something with you, just kind of silly. You can see I'm wearing two different earrings. So this one, they were both Christmas gifts, and I love them both. I'm a small farmer. This one, I lost the other one at Chipotle somewhere in Jefferson City. And so my mom bought me another pair, which was these little geese, actually, for Christmas this year. And I heard a loud crunch a couple days ago. My puppy chewed up the other one. So now I officially have one of each earring. So I am aware that I'm wearing two different earrings. It's not like I walked out of the house with, a brown shoe and a black shoe or something. Not that that would be terrible. But anyway, I just thought I would share something silly. So let's get into our study. I am going to read both of these, and then we will go back and talk about them, because I want to point a couple things out for you. But we get... it's not really a different perspective, but they use some different words, and I want to explain to you why the Gospels do that and why they are still telling the same story. So I have my computer up as I have before here, so I don't have to flip through the pages. So we're going to read Matthew 8 and 5 through 13. So, now when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, saying, "Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed, dreadfully tormented." And Jesus said to him, "I will come and heal him." The centurion answered and said, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word and my servant will be healed. For I am also a man under authority, and having soldiers under me. I say to this one, 'Go,' and he goes, to another, 'Come,' and he comes, and to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to those who followed, "Assuredly I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. And I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Then Jesus said to the centurion, "Go your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done for you." And his servant was healed the same hour. It's a neat story. Let's get into Luke's version of this in chapter 7, verses 1 through 10. Now when he concluded all of his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum, and a certain centurion's servant who was dear to him was sick and ready to die. So when he heard about Jesus, he sent elders of the Jews to him, pleading with him to come and heal his servant. And when they came to Jesus, they begged him earnestly, saying that the one for whom he should do this was deserving, for he loves our nation, and he has built us a synagogue. And then Jesus went with them. And when he was already not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying, "Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof. Therefore I did not even think to myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man placed under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes, to another, 'Come,' and he comes, and to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned around and said to the crowd that followed him, "I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel." And those who were sent returning to the house found the servant well, who had been sick. So there are a few things happening here, and we kind of dive into, the Holy Spirit specifically gives us certain stories and certain words, right? And so we really need to look into what can we pull out of this, what was meant for us here. And so remember the audience that he is speaking to. We just went through the huge, quote, Sermon on the Mount, right? And so where Jesus was clarifying the law. So when Luke steps in and says, when he concluded all of these sayings in the hearing of the people, that's what he was talking about concluding. So Jesus went from that into this, right? He entered Capernaum, okay? So we saw two different beginnings to this story. In Matthew, it sounds as if the centurion himself came to the Lord, pleading, "This is my servant," okay? And then in Luke, you have the centurion heard about Jesus, he sent elders to the Jews, right, to him, elders of the Jews to him, pleading with him. So which is it? Did the centurion come or did elders come? It's the same thing. So remember, it's the same story and perspective. Remember, in this day and age, they speak in the power of. So when they were charged by the centurion, they are speaking on the centurion's behalf. Just think about the validity of their word. If we were looked at like that in today's century, right? We sent our child, whoever it may be, to speak on our behalf. We can say that. We charge a lawyer, for instance, to speak on our behalf, but we pay that person, right? Imagine sending somebody that you just trusted and they spoke on your behalf. They were speaking in the power of your name, and that would hold a lot of credibility. So this story is covered, one, because the centurion is a Gentile. And remember, we have spoken on this several times already, especially about Jesus' healings leading up to that Sermon on the Mount, right? And so the scripture often pulls in the Gentiles, especially during this time of Jesus' ministry, because he is performing messianic miracles to his people who should recognize him, but they don't, or they won't, right? So they aren't. And so he is constantly putting into his word and showing us and showing his people, okay, and of course us many years later, that it was actually the non-believer, the non-follower, the non-born Jew who recognized me, who believed in and loved me. Okay, so I served him. I came and I served you freely, and you didn't even care to recognize it, right? And so there's importance in recognizing that the centurion is a Gentile. Now, so we have in Acts tells us, which we're not going to go there, right? But in Acts it tells us that a centurion is an officer position, right? And this would be in the Roman military, okay, the Roman army. So he had authority over 100 or more men. So this was a man of position and authority. So this is how he relates himself to Jesus when he says, I am also one of authority. When I say go, you go, come, you come, do this, you do this. So he is recognizing Jesus's authority is what he's doing. So he's not comparing himself in equal value. He is recognizing that Jesus has this authority. He believes in Jesus's authority to heal, right? He came to him for a healing, right? This miracle, and he already believes that Jesus has the authority to do so, okay? And so like I said, I explained that there's no contradiction in how they, I'm just reading my notes here, in how they presented the stories. They just came in the name of and the power of, right? So the elders go bearing the centurion's authority, okay? So they plead his case saying that he loves Israel. This is coming from Genesis 12. You can jump back there, okay? But it's along the lines of, I will bless them that bless you. This is under the Abrahamic covenant, okay? And they even pointed out he's even built a synagogue that we worship in, right? And so he is pleading a Jewish cause to a Jew, right? To Jesus. And so this is why he is pleading that particular case to him, right? And so Jesus would have actually preached and taught. And isn't it funny that it's not preached and teached? And so preached and taught in this synagogue, okay? So let's see. In Matthew here, Matthew brings the kingdom. We know that each gospel brings in their own component, right? So Luke, we know we have the doctrine and the humanity. So Matthew brings the kingdom into play, right? And so he's talking about the sit down with Abraham and Isaac, right? So this Gentile believed in the Messianic king, right? So he will enter into heaven. Now, remember what Jesus was doing just prior to this, talking to the Jews and the Pharisees, right? So he was constantly contrasting what the Pharisees believed. Now, mind you, he didn't turn to the men who came to him and to the elders who came to him, right? He turned to the crowd who followed him. Jesus knows his audience, okay? He turned to the crowd who followed him because, again, he's contrasting something here, right? The Pharisees thought they automatically had a position in heaven. They thought because of their Jewishness and because of their quote faith that they had in God, right, that they automatically had a seat in heaven. And of course, where do the Jews get their teaching, right? They got it from the Pharisees, the Sadducees, right? So this was passed down. They already believed this. So let me point out something here. Back in Matthew, let me jump back into Matthew. Okay, he gives a little bit more detail, when Jesus spoke to him, and it says that, that you'll sit down with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, right? But the sons, this is verse 12, but the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, this is a future second coming event, right? So remember that the first coming tells us a lot about the second coming. Okay, we can gather a lot of information about Jesus here. Now, when he's saying the sons of the kingdom, okay, who are they? Who are the sons of the kingdom, right? Who is Jesus? Who has Jesus proclaimed to be for the last 8 chapters, right? The whole beginning of this gospel. And this is especially comes to life in Matthew. As I said, Matthew brings the kingdom out in the gospel, right? Jesus is the kingdom come, right? He says this over and over. I am the kingdom come. Jesus is the kingdom. He came to his people who did not recognize him, right? So the sons of the kingdom who are there, the Jews that he came, God's people that he came for, did not recognize him, okay? And they will be cast out into outer darkness, right? So outer darkness, either way. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That is the ultimate destination of the lake of fire, right? This is the final condemnation for the people. So he is telling them here again, remember that Jesus hasn't even gone to the cross yet, okay? He's telling them and alluding to the fact his people are going to reject him. And so, remember, this constantly angered the Pharisees in several past stories. They plotted to kill him. They're trying to trap him and kill him. And so this constantly angered them because Jesus always alluded to this future of what was going to happen. You're going to deny me. And they didn't want to be those people. And so, anyway, that was a quick lesson that wraps it up for right now.